Welcome to the People Leaders Podcast, the audio resource for managers and business leaders creating high-performing teams. Join leadership and team development experts Jan and Michelle Turkelson each week as they explore both subjects from every angle. Through practical tips, valuable insights, and compelling interviews with leadership experts around the world, you'll learn how to bring out the best in your staff and how to give your best as a leader.
Podcast. Hello. So this podcast is, we're going to talk about the High Performing Team tool. Now, our High Performing Team Assessment tool is one of our most popular downloaded tools. Yep. I think it's popular because it's really practical and it gives people an opportunity to just see in their team where they're on track and off track. And so we have a special guest, Jayden.
Hello.
Welcome, Jayden. Yeah, welcome, Jayden.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Jayden has used the High Performing Team Assessment tool, and I did an interview with your manager, Sandra, a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about how she introduced the tool, and then I asked her if she could recommend someone in her team who actually went through the process as well. So we're just seeing it from different perspectives.
Yeah.
And so here you are.
Here I am.
so Jayden, how would you describe what you actually do, just to give people context?
We take care of customer incoming inquiries. So whether it be by phone call, email, by post, essentially any kind of correspondence that comes into us, and then we move it on or we answer the customer inquiry right there and then.
Right. So is inquiry another word of saying complaint as well? Do you get complaints as well?
We essentially get the first brunt of them. So they'll come into us first, and then we will, if it's a complaint, we'll send it over to customer relations. So they're the people that take care of the actual complaints. We try and do the most we can, but they're specifically trained to deal with complaints and assist customers to get the best outcomes. So
beautiful. Okay. So if you can cast your mind back to when you did the High Performing Team Assessment, so this was part of the leadership program that Sandra did, and were you enthusiastic about using the tool?
Yeah, we were. It was something, I guess, new, because we have regular team meetings where everyone will get together for about an hour and a half, and we'll either have an activity or it's just a way to debrief and find out what's going on in the business. This one, Sandra kind of just brought it in. We broke off into separate groups, and we answered the questions. There was quite a few different sections that we went through, and everyone was pretty enthusiastic about doing it. I was too. And it was good to kind of get an understanding of what other people thought of where the team was sitting, or whether there was things they wanted to bring up. And then when we all kind of came together, it was good. It was very good.
Right. And so she put you into, I suppose, hubs, like threes or something.
Five.
How many people in
your
team?
There would be, we've got one of the biggest teams. I think at the moment we've probably got about 50. We had 15, but it's people have been moving to different areas as well. But most of them are either working part-time or flex-time, but everyone was there. So we broke off into groups of 5, I believe. Four being the smallest.
Okay.
So,
right. So you could get that group dynamic, and it was small enough to actually hear each other, but it was also not too many that when you actually had to debrief, it was easier as well.
Yeah.
So that was smart of Sandra. How did you actually break up into groups? Did you just nominate someone, or?
Well, it was kind of where we were sitting, I guess. So that's just the way it is. You know, sometimes when you get into some activities, and if you're breaking off into 3 groups, someone will go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 around the table, and you do that. But you do notice that because it was based on the people sitting around the room, or the seats that they were sitting in when they first got there were still like a clique, I guess, because we are still separated just by like a little divider, and we do go all the way along. So you do have certain people that do stick together, but there were still people that don't usually sit right next to each other that were included in the same group. So it was still good.
Is that how you would recommend doing it, like being part of that experience?
I would, but at the same time, there's you need to kind of get it mixed up as well. So that way everyone can get a gauge of where they're sitting. You know, you don't just do the numbers at the end of it and hand it up to Sandra, far out. And it was hard. It was better to do it that way. In my opinion, I had 2 people in my team that like sit on the far end of the team, although we're all quite close. I don't really I never really knew what they felt like with progression or growth and stuff like that. And now I have a better understanding of that. So it was good.
So you were broken into hubs. You had each of the groups of 5 had the questions in front of them. And as a group, did you have to nominate where you would put your score, I suppose?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of, we would go through the rating and then we go, okay, so what would you give this score? Why would you give it that score? So that way, because other people have different reasons for giving that score, you know what I mean? So it's good to understand their reasoning and then kind of come to a consensus, like a team kind of consensus too.
So what did you learn about the team?
A lot more. I think the biggest thing was when it came to growth, like where they felt if they felt kind of trapped or if they felt they had other avenues. And I think from there, a lot of people have moved on and have been doing extra things. I think it kind of outlined that to even other people that, you know, I may feel a bit stuck there, but some people may find it a bit hard to put it out there. And I reckon the tool was great in bringing that kind of stuff out for everyone.
Like focus the conversation. And okay, so did the outcome of the assessment surprise you, or was it pretty much aligned with what you expected where the team were rated themselves?
I think with the teams, I guess, some people may have given lower scores, but it was only until we had the conversation that I actually knew, okay, all right, well, I can understand that. Before that, I would have maybe just assumed they had a certain score, but it was good that we had the conversation. We could come to the consensus and go, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that, you know what I mean? And then kind of work out a score from there. But yeah, it was good.
So as far as that's concerned, would you say that your team has a high level of trust amongst each other? Or
I think now we've got an increasing level of trust. Back then, like when we did it, there were some things where I was like, oh, I didn't know that, because we didn't really get together and do those activities as much as a team. But lately, we have been doing a lot more team building activities, even stuff that is a bit more personal, which has helped us get more trust, grow, you know, and it has pointed out those things that we did need to work on, and we have. So, yeah.
Great. So what did you learn about yourself as part of the process?
I think I was more so on the leadership kind of progression thing, because I know where I want to go, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until I could sit down, you know, with Sandra and go, hey, I gave this my score, you know, in a coaching session. I feel like I want to take on more of a leadership role, or I want to do this. And it was good that she could see, based on the scores and who was in there, she knew where I could go, you know what I mean, and what could be done. And it made me ask a lot more questions that I probably wouldn't generally think about. So, yeah, I think it was great, a great tool.
Okay, so what changes, if any, have you made as a result of this for you personally? So any practical things that you're doing differently?
I think I'm putting myself outside of the box a lot more, and rather than just thinking of what's in front of me, asking more questions about certain things to do with either career development or personal development, because a lot of the time I got trapped in thinking, you know, I just want to progress, but I never really thought, well, why don't I sit back and work out steps on how I will get somewhere, you know what I mean? Or if I get a difficult kind of confrontation with a customer or something like that, you kind of get told, oh, you've just got to do the business process kind of thing. And then eventually you work out, well, if you just ask yourself these small questions or break things down, it's easy to understand and take the next step rather than just try and jump there as quickly as you can. And I think the tool that we did, especially it made me ask more questions about my growth than anything else. And I just really think it was a really great tool.
Right. For us, it's really interesting because we just did an interview with David, who's your managing director, and he said one of the characteristics that he would want every person in a people leadership role to encompass is this thing around curiosity.
Yeah.
And you have just highlighted.
I know. I thought exactly as soon as you said it.
Highlighted how important that is. This art of questioning yourself instead of just allowing things to progress is. What can I do differently? What did I learn? That. So congratulations. There is alignment there. Which is an interesting thing around culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like when there is alignment between people in different areas and your managing director, the message.
Something right is happening.
Is happening,
And I think it's been such a strong message with aligning even our vision, and it's been so well communicated by doing these tools, breaking us together into groups and having these kind of team meetings. It has helped that. And I think it's just echoing nonstop around the floor, to be completely honest, around my floor especially. And the way that we have been going and talking to people we wouldn't generally talk to and being curious about what they do. It's just been fantastic, I reckon. So, yeah.
Great. Okay, so is there anything else, Michelle, that you want to ask Jayden?
Not really. What I found interesting about hearing your responses is that, we designed this as a high-performing team tool, yet what you've been able to share with us are the personal, individual benefits that you got from it. So it's almost like this 360 tool that you can use for the team, but with, individual side effects. So thank you.
Yeah,
that's really encouraging.
And so we're really interested in seeing your trajectory through this organisation.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks Jayden.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the People Leaders Podcast. For show notes and other resources, please visit us at peopleleaderspodcast.com. While you're there, you can subscribe for future episodes so you can continue your own leadership journey. And please be sure to share this and other episodes with your friends and colleagues. The People Leaders Podcast is brought to you by the Experts on Air Podcast Network.